Today we're going to talk about lesson 1.4, which is an introduction to the student reference book, or your SRB as it is sometimes called. We're going to start with math message, and what I would like for you to do in your notes is make a list of 3 ways you could imagine using your student reference book or your SRB as a tool. Now remember, your SRB is your hardback book, and I'll give you some time in class to actually look at it and explore it tomorrow. But I want you to think about what 3 ways could you possibly use that book for, and write those down in your notes. Vocabulary today is going to include one word, which is millions. And that is the place that goes beyond the 100,000s in our place value system. So it would be the largest number that we will have talked about thus far. So in this lesson, we're going to use our SRB to examine the populations of some of the cities in the United States. But first, before we get started, we have to understand how to use our book, for one. And 2, we have to understand what in the world is population. So that involves taking a look at this map here that you will have in your book. Now, if you look at the map, you can see an outline of all of our 50 states. And I know it's difficult to see the print, but I will tell you that in red we have some cities that are on the map. And underneath those cities, there is a number. So, for example, if we look at, let's see if I can get in here to Indianapolis. It's hard to see there, but it says 820,000, and I think that's a 645, not positive. But as you can see, there's a number there. Now, that number is representing how many people they think live in Indianapolis, in that particular city. So that's not for the entire state, that's just for the city. So as you can see on this map, we have several different cities that have populations shown with the black number there. So I'm going to put that off to the side. So now we know what population is. I'm going to get rid of that, move this back over. We've got some things out of whack here. Okay, so I've got somewhat of a place value locator here, I guess we could call it, with my green lines. And we can see there we've got a comma where the thousand spot is, and we've got a comma where the million spot is. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to place some numbers up here, and I'm going to have you try to figure out what the value is of some of the digits. So let me move this back down so I have a little more space. And we're going to put up our first number. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger so it'll fit here, hopefully. There we go. It's almost on the lines, or not quite there. Okay, so we have 73,007. Now, what is the value of the 3? How many thousands do we have in that number? Hopefully you said 3,000, because that is the digit that is in the thousands place. What if I asked you how many 10,000s we had? Hopefully you answered 7. Okay, so you can kind of get the gist of what we're doing here. So I'm going to take this, we're going to move that out of the way, and I am going to place another number on our green lines here. And who can tell me how many hundreds we have in this number? How many hundreds do we have? If you said 5, you would be correct, because 5 is in the hundreds place. How many ones do we have? That's an easy one, right? How many ones? 4. How many 100,000s do we have? That would be 6, right? Very good. Okay, so we're going to take that, move it out of the way, and we're going to add another number up here. Okay, now this number is a little bit bigger. How many millions do we have? So hopefully you said 8 because 8 is in the million spot. We get rid of that. Okay, how many thousands do I have in this number? How many thousands do I have? That would be 5 because we have 5 in the thousands place. Okay, so hopefully this is giving you an idea of what we're going to be doing in this lesson. We're dealing with some very large numbers. So we're going to move on and we're going to practice. So I'm going to place a number in each of these locations. And what I would like for you to do is tell me what is the value of that number. So let's say that we have a very large number. Okay, first of all, can you say that number? Now remember, use your commas. So we're going to say 467,398,477. So how many 100,000s do we have? So locate your 100,000 spot. That would be here. And if you answered 3, you would be correct. All right, let's take a look at the next number. Okay, how would we say that number? Again, look at your commas, look where they're located. We would say 79,765,403. Now, how many 10,000s do we have? How many 10,000s do we have? So again, locate that 10,000 spot, which is right here, and we would answer that question with 6. There are 6 10,000s in that particular problem. Okay, let's try another one. All right, now how would we say this number? 56,340,397. How many 10 millions do I have? 10 millions. Where is that 10 million spot? Is right here. So 5 10 millions would be the answer to that particular question. Okay, so now it's going to be your turn, your ticket to group. Your first problem, the population of San Diego is 1,338,348. Is that closer to 1 million or 2 million? How do you know? Okay, so you've actually got 2 questions you have to answer for that particular number. What it's closer to and how you know. Number 2, 3,857,799 people live in Los Angeles. How would you round that number to the nearest million? Okay, rounding that particular number to the nearest million. Number 3, How could we write a comparison sentence for the numbers in problems 1 and 2 above? Now remember, a comparison sentence would be using probably greater than, less than, equal to, possibly. Okay. Don't forget that you also need to write a question for me on your ticket to group, a required question about this lesson, something you do not know the answer to, so don't forget that part. To summarize today, I am going to bring up some things that we've talked about so far. If I can actually get this to enlarge. There we go. We learned that our SRB is a great tool to locate information, and hopefully you'll find that when you're exploring in class. We learned that numbers are divided into groups of digits separated by commas, and that does make our life a whole lot easier when we're trying to say those numbers. And last but not least, we learned that each digit is read from left to right as though it were a separate number, and then the name of the group is read. Hopefully you noticed that as I was reading those numbers to you, with the exception of the last group on the right, because we don't end the number with 592 ones. We don't say that. We just say 592. Okay, so that's our summary, what we talked about in this lesson.